Pardon me. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Metal Hammer of Doom. I am your host, a mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm very tired, Mr. Mark Radulich. And joining me tonight to fill in those gaps where I nod off, he, of course, is the original author of the Hammer of Doom news report from 401mania.com. He smuggles Mexicans over the fence, and he's a heartbreaker, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robert Cooper. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Got a little worried there. I was sitting on hold for like 3 or 4 minutes. I'm like, please don't tell me Mark fell asleep. Please don't tell me Mark fell asleep.
No, I was putting my daughter to bed and frankly putting my wife to bed.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the one time where I didn't see your Facebook message. So like the first 10 seconds was me like, oh shit, what's going on?
Yeah, I don't remember that. But I tell you what, I was just going through the Wikipedia page for the albums, metal albums for 2015, and let me say 2 things. One, I really do need to sit with the Wikipedia page and my phone when it's at least half charged, if not fully charged, and start making playlists of albums that I'm interested in listening to. Because I tend to only do it for ones that I was either really looking forward to or ones that we're doing a review of this podcast. Now, we're not going to get to like Stradivarius this year. There's just not enough time. We'll go over more of that a little bit later as far as what's coming up in the next few weeks. If there's 5 albums that are dropping in like a 2-week span, we might only get to one of them. And in the last couple of months, there's been quite a number of albums or bands that I really like, but there's no way we're going to get to them on this show. So I haven't had a chance to listen to them yet. And I was like, why? I don't know why. There's no reason for me not to. So I got to do that. But the other thing that I realized, and this is, I'll let you jump in after this, 3 Inches of Blood broke up. I'm really bummed.
I saw that a few weeks ago when the drummers already joined Revocation. I was really bummed. I'm like, damn, even though the last 3 Inches of Blood album wasn't like the greatest thing ever, I mean, it was good, but I mean, they were a really nice mainstay act in the metal world, you know. They kind of helped me get into metal, to be honest. They were, because old Tony Hawk.
They were definitely one of the more interesting bands. I mean, I think they had a very unique sound. They had a very throwback vocal styling that you really don't hear anymore. I mean, it's a lot of deep voices, a lot of guttural voices. That had kind of an old school Overkill kind of tone to it. Even Overkill doesn't sound like Overkill anymore.
So they're kind of old. They're older kill.
Older kill. But, I've seen 3 Inches of Blood a bunch of times. I actually, I've told the story on the show before. I took my friend Paul. I think it was his very first show that he ever went to in his life because he's not a music fan. I took him to go see 3 Inches of Blood and Goat Whore. And we had a great time. I stayed awake for the whole show. I jumped in the mosh pit. It was great. He wasn't quite sure what to make of the mosh pit, him being at the time really trying to get into professional fighting, and didn't quite understand the concept of if you get hit, the object is not to knock the other guy out. But I'm bummed. 3 Inches of Blood were one of my favorite metal bands, and I'm sad to see them go. On the other hand, Children of Bodom, which we will be covering later on this year when their album comes out in October, their new album has a cover on it of Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins, as in Highway 2A.
What? I always get him and Kenny Rogers mixed up.
Kenny Rogers and Kenny Loggins?
Yeah.
Just remember, Kenny Loggins wants to take you on a highway to a danger zone, and Kenny Rogers is the gambler.
That's right, and both of them got really weird plastic surgery. Oh yeah, that's a cool album cover. I really hope this album is as good as the last one, and I hope our review is better than the last one.
Our review was a little it was a bit understated, a little nom de plume, a little boring, both of us kind of met.
I'd say it's kind of, I think that one was our worst, which is really bad because that was a really good album. Like, that was like top 15 of the year for me. But I don't know. I guess this time we need to take more notes.
There was nothing to talk about. It was like,
it's one of the, some albums do not need a track-by-track breakdown.
No. And that's 3 years of doing this show, that's what we've discovered. Some albums we'll go all the way through and say, yay.
You can usually tell when we're like, oh, yeah, that was another song. All right, next.
Well, let's see how this album goes. Now, High on Fire, I got into them when I was in grad school. Napoleon was leading the French army across Europe. Get it? Because I'm old. I was going to ask which plague hit Egypt at that time. Locusts. That was the year. No, I was in grad school from 2001 until 2004, and somewhere in there I got introduced to High on Fire, one of the world's premier stoner metal bands. And at the time, while I could appreciate High on Fire and what they were trying to do, they were a little too sludgy, a little too slow, a little too doomed for me. Over the years, High on Fire has picked up the pace. I've actually been able to see them live. They put on a great show. They're really masters of their craft. And this newest album seems to be the most high tempo yet. Really enjoyed this one. What are some of your thoughts here on the history and the life and times of High on Fire?
You know, this is actually one of the bands where I don't quite remember how I got into them. I really can't remember. It's probably one of those bands where I kind of just fell upon them. Actually, I think it was. I just kind of fell upon them and I'm like, dude, these guys sound like Evil Motorhead, which is how I always describe them. Because they always sound like Evil Motorhead to me. They're like, yeah, let's take kind of the Motorhead sound, make it like slower and sludgier and just darker. Yeah. And I remember I bought their album, Surrounded by Thieves, and I still play that album about a few times a year, you know. Some albums only come out every few years. That one gets maybe about a yearly spin. It's a really good album. I remember listening to them, and they kind of slowly pushed me out of the, like that thrash and metalcore, like, cocoon that I started out in. That's really where I kind of made my killing when I started listening to metal. It was really all about like old school thrash and metalcore. Yeah. And this is one of those bands I listened to, and I'm like, wow, you know, that's really cool. And it started getting me into more of the, like stoner metal and a little bit of doom. Doom didn't come until a lot later, but you know, it kind of helped broaden my horizons. And I don't quite remember what year it was, but it definitely wasn't 2004 because I can't be that cool. But I remember I've listened to them throughout the years, and I've really, really come to like them. They're a really good band. Ironically enough, I know more about them than I do Sleep, which is weird because most people know Sleep and don't know High on Fire. But, you know, High on Fire is a really good band. I remember in 2013, their album, Vermis Mysteriis, it got pretty high charting. Otherwise, I don't really think... I don't know how this one did. I haven't looked, but yeah, I mean, I'd say they're a fairly popular band. I remember Matt Pike actually dropped off of the Mayhem Festival tour, if I'm not mistaken, because I think he had alcohol issues when the rehab. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Okay, a couple of things. This is the 7th album by High on Fire. It's been pretty well received by Exclaim, who called it heavy metal at its finest. Luminiferous was a brilliant, dynamic release showcasing High on Fire's penchant for diverse, thoughtful songwriting and impeccable musicianship. And they really are. I mean, it might be hard to tell for some people, but they really, as I said before, they are masters of their craft. They know how to play their instruments. as far as any other ratings, I'll as the show goes on, I'll see if I can pull up some more reviews of the album, see what some other publications thought. But let's get into it. First track here is called The Black Plot. The Black Plot. So this is High on Fire from the album Luminiferous. This is The Black Plot. So I was not expecting them to come right out of the gate with such a heavy song, but it was certainly a nice surprise. I really liked that song, very heavy. It woke me up because I was excited about covering the album, but I was sort of prepared to just be. It's weird. Like I was excited, but I was also prepared to be bored. And so it just kind of popped out, and it's a really rocking tune, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I was. So I wasn't quite sure how stoked I was for this album. I mean, I like High on Fire, but ironically, as you talked about all the albums coming out at the end of the year, all the albums I wanted to review apparently came out in April. That was funny because I was like, yeah, because we were able to do Unleashed, and then I looked, I'm like, oh shit, Civil War had a new album. Oh shit, Psy had a new album. Damn, I wish we would have gotten to do Psy, just so you can go, what the fuck is going on? I'm sure once that first saxophone solo hit, you probably would have been done. But yeah, I wasn't quite sure what we were in for this. I was like, okay, when I sat down this afternoon to listen to it, I'm like, okay. And this first song booted up, and I'm like, oh, shit, we're in for something awesome. Like, this is to be expected. This is very much the sound of High on Fire. But I don't know. I guess it's a sound that's really all their own. You don't see many bands that are clones of High on Fire, or really any bands that came before them that do something so similar, that have such sludge and grime to them, that still manage to, kind of go along.
As far as bands that they're kind of reminding me of that are now defunct, one of them that jumps out, maybe it's because I just like saying it, and it's not as close as I think it is, Alabama Thunder Pussy.
I can see Alabama Thunder Pussy.
I can see Alabama
say that, didn't we? We just wanted to say that, didn't we?
What, Alabama Thunder Pussy? Yes.
Alabama Thunder Pussy. That's almost as much fun as a band like Almost Fun is my other favorite band name, Goblin Cock.
Okay. So our best shows are definitely the ones where we go off on tangents, and so now, and just because we're talking about it, I'll bring this up and I'll play the next track. So, like, Patton Oswalt's comedy albums that are on Spotify make me laugh so hard that I've almost nearly blacked out while driving. Okay?
That is not healthy.
No. But he sure is funny. I didn't realize how funny Patton Oswalt was, at least to me. So, of all the comedy albums, you know, and I'm a huge fan of, like, Lewis Black and such, like, but for some odd reason, like, the Patton Oswalt ones I have saved on my playlist, because when I'm having a bad day and I really need to laugh hard and kind of break myself out of a funk, I'll put on any one of his comedy albums and laugh myself stupid. They're just so funny. And like I said, I would have never expected I have such love for Patton Oswalt, but for whatever reason, his comedy speaks to me. I don't know quite why. And one of the things that he was talking about was a Martini and Rossi commercial. You know, I don't know if you remember this or not, but the camera's swooping all around. It was like, why are you drinking Martini Rossi? Because it's Tuesday. And then he would proceed to make fun of that guy. And then the swings around again on a girl, and like, why are you drinking Martini and Rossi? Because he told me he'd call me, and he did. And then Patton Oswalt goes into this whole thing about how, like, you know, this woman fucked the whole baseball team or something. And it's like, Martini and Rossi didn't do a thing for my battered chapped pussy. and it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen comedians do this, but sometimes they'll say a line and crack themselves up, and it completely like breaks the act, and it's fun. People laugh at that. People have a good time with it. So he says battered chapped pussy and starts laughing his ass off. And then he does a completely like tangential bit where you know, it's like, oh, Patton Oswalt's new bon mot. It's hitting all the salons, battered chapped pussy. Write it in the sky with Gotham of tears. So the point of all this is, and that's another phrase that's fun to say, battered chapped pussy, which I offer to you, Robert Cooper. If you ever start a band, that should be the name of it.
That is an amazing fucking name for a band. Though,
Body chapped pussy.
I don't know if I don't know, maybe I can change it to a British version, like battered chaps pussy, you know, whatever. Well, we'll see what we can work with here. Depends on how many punk bands I start in my day, which will probably be none.
You need Benjamin Cologne to draw you a picture of a cat with boxing gloves, and it's like missing fur and it's all beat to shit.
Ooh, and if he can draw it with in an elevator with Ray Rice, sign me up.
Ben, are you listening? You have your next project.
We have gotten Ben so many projects on this show, and I know he does not listen to it.
Someone tell Ben he needs to listen to the Metal Hammer of Doom podcast. All right.
We need to come up with a list and just send it to him, or just post it on the Radulich and Broadcasting page. He always looks at it.
Sure. So someone should put stuff on there besides Jesse, because I sure as hell don't anymore. All right. I've got children. All right. This is track 2 for High on Fire, Luminiferous. This is Carcosa. So this might sound a little weird, weirder even than they remind me of Alabama Thunder Pussy.
Alabama Thunder Pussy.
Weirder than that. I don't remember how familiar you are with the band Helmet. They were one of my favorites back in the day. And
Vaguely.
not the vocals for sure, but the instrumentation, the song minus the vocals actually reminded me a lot of a Helmet song.
Yes, I only like know of Helmet. I don't think I've actually ever listened to Helmet.
They were I think ahead of their time.
Well, I mean, they're still around.
Helmet got a big push during like the early to mid '90s when they were the Seattle sound, and you had Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden all being pushed all at the same time. Helmet was sort of wrapped up in that, even though it wasn't that same kind of music. So they sort of got tied to it, even though they were heavier. And like I said, I think Helmet, like if today, if we were to reintroduce Helmet, I think people would be into it, and it would be more in line with today's musical taste. Back in like '92, '93, not so much. A little too heavy for the squares.
Yeah. There's some bands I really think we should like just wipe everybody's memory of and bring them back so everybody can listen to them for the first time and be like, wow, the shit. Maybe Helmet's one of those.
So what do you think of the song?
What did I think of this song? It's a good song. I liked it. I've tried, like I do my usual thing where I try to kind of read the lyrics and get an idea of what the song's talking about while it's playing. The way these songs are set up makes that really, really, really hard because it is just literally text block. There are no verses. There are no choruses. It is literally a text block. And upon thinking about it, that is really how all High on Fire songs are. There's instrumentation to break up the text block occasionally, but text block. Yeah, I think actually this is one.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying, this is, I think, one of the songs I listened to multiple times because I really liked it. Good old Carcosa. I honestly feel like this album's one of those where I think I really got into it in the latter half of the album. Like, I was really stoked up for those last few songs.
Okay. You'll have to pardon me. It's late, so I'm struggling to concentrate here. Next track. This is track 3. This is The Sunless Years. So pretty powerful song right there. A little slower than the first two. I started to think, kind of repetitive now. and we're only 3 tracks into this thing. But I sort of imagine it being played in like a stadium or a big, like hockey arena or something. And I think that, that's the kind of song that instantly like projects outward with no trouble at all. It's the kind of song that I think fills up an arena. So I liked it. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it's got a lot of life and body to it. This song kind of blended into the background for me. But upon reading the lyrics, holy shit, the words "he's been taking the acid" was said many times in this song. I wonder if this is from experience.
So if you read through all the lyrics, can you pick up a theme or, what exactly the point of the album is? Where are they going with Luminiferous?
This is as good as mine so far. This is definitely not one of those albums where I'm just kind of sitting around and I'm like, yeah, that is definitely what this guy is saying. I really think this is what it's going like. If Jesse and I do that show on the 30th, you'll get to see my my detective hat on in terms of what is this song and album trying to say. You'll get to see that on to the furthest extent. This album, I honestly do not know how many drug binges it took to come up with some of the lyrics to this album. I mean, it keeps talking about he took the acid with astral satellites. I'm like, what? It's just kind of weird.
I was going to ask you, and I completely this is the problem. I've had maybe 6 hours sleep out of the last 48.
Damn.
So I'm having like thoughts, and they're just as quickly disappearing, and I'm not entirely sure they were relevant to the conversation.
Well, to be fair, that's when we're at our best, when we hear a song, talk about it for 2 minutes, and then we can continue to talk along the geopolitics of the lines of cocaine Charlie Sheen has snorted since 2011.
Okay, but I'll try my best to just talk, and if I'm warning you right now, if I start to not make any sense, I'm sleep deprived.
Hey, that's fine. I've come to realize when I am sleep deprived, it's very obvious because my mom always asks me, "Are you on drugs?" It's one of those, where you talk, and then once they say, "What the fuck are you talking about?" you go back and reevaluate what you said, and you're like, I really don't know.
I can't tell you how many. Dude, I remember back in, this had to be 2000. This had to be 2008. 2007, 2008. I was on the couch. I had just gotten home from work. I had a horrible cold. So I took NyQuil, and, especially at that time, NyQuil would just put me out. I would be in a coma. I would wake up, there'd be a new president. I mean, forget it. NyQuil, there was a time my body wasn't quite as resistant to NyQuil as it is now. And my friend called me in the middle of a NyQuil stupor. And he was like, "Hey, man, I just wanted to check it." This is I had just gotten divorced. I was in between jobs, and I have one friend from New York who was looking in on me to make sure I hadn't killed myself. So he's like, "How's it going? I just want to check on you." Now, things have started to get better at this point. I think I had just gotten a new job. I think I was dating Melissa at the time, or it was right before I started dating Melissa. But like I said, I'm in a NyQuil fucking stupor. And he's like, I'm like, "Oh, why? How you doing?" And he's like, "So, what do you do?" I was watching Fox News or some shit. He's like, "What did you think of this thing?" And I probably said something to the effect of, "The walls in the mall are so totally tall for sure." And he was like, "Are you all right?" And I think I managed to get out, took NyQuil, feel sick, don't make sense. Because I was saying some off-the-wall shit I can't remember what comedian brought this up. They were talking about the Rolling Stones getting high and just turning on the tape recorder to see what they come up with. They were like, "Oh, it was magical, man. We came up with some great stuff." They hear it back, it's all shit. It just didn't make any sense at all. That's what I sounded like.
Well, they said that back in the day, the Indian people who ruled in India used to make decisions and then get like high and drunk and everything, and then see if those decisions made sense then. I was like, I'm not one for drugs or drinking, but I have to kind of imagine that that's a good way of making sure that even crazy people agree with your ideas.
All right, speaking of crazy people agreeing with your ideas, this is track 4, Slave the Hive. Okay, that one actually kind of reminded me of, oh shoot, I just had it. What's that dude's name? Ooh. Yeah, he was in a band, so like pseudo industrial death metal, and then he did like a bunch of solo stuff. Oh Lord. He has a song where at the end of it they sample like, "Hi, welcome to AMW. May I take your stinking order?" Are we thinking of Devin Townsend?
It sounds like a Devin Townsend thing.
I might be thinking of Devin Townsend.
Yes, he is Jesus.
Devin Townsend. Canadian, yeah. Strapping Young Lad, yes. That was reminding me a lot of Strapping Young Lad.
I could definitely see the Strapping Young Lad influence. That's one of those bands that I really wish would come back. Like, I know Devin Townsend, he's kind of like Mike Ackerfeld from Opeth at this point. Like, both of them are not interested in doing heavy things anymore. But it sucks because that's what they do best. At least to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Devin Townsend's one of those guys who, he's kind of like a Mike Patton, where he could do so many different random things, and it's going to be good because he's got the talent to pull it off. But I still kind of miss when Devin Townsend did death metal.
Yeah, I enjoyed Strapping Young Lad for the brief period of time that they were around. But, you got to be challenged in life. You gotta seek out new ground, try different things, challenge yourself. It's a way to be happy.
I mean, some bands are challenged. Haven't you heard of Attila?
You're going to say some bands are challenged. Haven't you heard about Limp Bizkit?
No, God. See, I would say, honestly, Attila are worse. Because while Limp Bizkit inspired an entire generation of mediocre to okay music, depending on who's doing it, I would say Attila are worse because they're leaving even more impressions on highly impressionable kids that could be listening to metal right now, but instead they're listening to shitty fucking scene-ass deathcore that has such lyrical content as "fuck your girlfriend in the pussy because I'm the shit." Like, it's straight up taking hip-hop lyrics without any of the culture that supports the hip-hop lyrics being made. Like, those lyrics are stupid, but at least it's somewhat in their wheelhouse to write lyrics like that. Bands like that, no, that's not usually what they do, and they just sound like fucking assholes. Oh, I hate that band.
Yeah, Jesse agrees with you. Attila's worse.
Thanks, Jesse. Maybe we'll have to review them sometime.
Anything lyrically so far that you want to talk about? Anything jumping out at you?
This song, looking at it, it is not one giant text block. That's nice. This one, it kind of reminded me of something. It reminded me of some more of like Napalm Death's lyrics, where it was kind of socio-political in nature. This song kind of seemed like, to me, it was talking about just kind of like the machine that everybody runs on to feed, like, you know, economic society and stuff like that. But, you know, I think one thing we kind of forgot about now that I'm thinking about there's breaks in these songs, there's some really fucking killer solos in this. Like, if I'm not mistaken, in the first song, like, there's a break towards the end where you think it's, like, done, and then it's like, nah, fuck it, and then just plays more. And then we get one, like, pretty awesome outro. I gotta say, the outro is kind of a lost thing. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. All right. This next one is about Sam Wilson, the Falconist. Okay, we seem to be having a bit of an issue here.
Did it not upload the right track?
No, it's just cycling. Like 30 seconds into it, and it's just going around and around and around. Of course, typical.
Weird.
Hang on. See me flying on the wall. Anyway, it's a good song. Again, a little slower than some of the other ones, but I could see, like, you know, in a world that was fair to metal, I could almost see that one being put out as a single.
Yeah, actually, when I said I was more excited about the second half of this album, really, this song kind of started it for me. This is a really catchy song. Like, again, the lyrics were text block, but when it hits that kind of, well, closest thing to a chorus you're going to get from these guys, but it's, you know, when it was like, the Falconist, I was like, yeah, Falconist, yeah, it's metal. It's, I don't know why I immediately go into Beavis anytime I get excited. But when it hits the end of that, when he's just talking about when he just says the Falconist, I was like, oh. And I kind of just kept looping into my head when I wasn't listening to this album. I kind of compare it to just a random song that always pops in my head for no reason. Mythical Knives by Orange Goblin. Like, it's got kind of that catchy sort of chorus that'll just wiggle its way into your head while you're at work, smuggling people over the border and giving them mulch. Yeah, I mean, it's a really, It's a really good song. I really like the song. I would definitely listen to this one again. It's got a nice groove to it. It's paced well. The lyrics are pretty fun, and it's really catchy. I like it.
Yeah, with another moment where my brain went to something else. For some reason, I started thinking about Terminator, like Terminator 2: Judgment Day.
I could see it.
Oh my God! I stayed up late last night to watch Frank Mir and Todd Duffy throw down, and Todd Duffy showed everybody why he deserved to be cut from the UFC a second time.
I remember in one of my UFC games, Todd Duffy was the heavyweight champion for a long time.
And then I stayed up to watch Tuesdays on the USA Network, Tough Enough. And I can't just watch Tough Enough. I started watching fucking stupid Tough Talk. So by the time I went to bed, I had to be up in like 3 or 4 hours. And that had been the second night in a row that I stayed up late.
Yeah, see, that's sounds like you made a goof. You done goofed. I mean, first of all, why were you gonna watch Tough Enough? It's like Total Divas for guys. It's really bad, and
there's a couple of first of all, some of them are so bad at what they're doing, I can't. It's not even watchable. They were asking them to cut promos. I'm like, dude, I could cut a shoot promo on Hulk Hogan while I'm this tired. Okay? Like, I don't have enough brain capacity to get through this podcast without, a couple of times, like, nodding off or drifting off and then, like, oh, how am I, like, what the hell was this in my head and how do I relate it to what we're talking about? Fuck it, I can't. Even in the condition I'm in right now, I could fucking, if you told me, cut a promo on Hulk Hogan, I'm like, oh, done. I already thought it up. Cut a promo on Daniel Bryan. Well, I mean, just make fun of the fact that he was an idiot and, ruined his career by not getting the surgery that he needed. I cut a promo on that easy. I'm trying to find, like, a great way to restate this line for whenever Paige comes back to the main roster. It's like, something along the lines of, I'll give you as much time as the WWE gives you, and then just stop talking to her.
That'd be great. But I gotta say, that segment from Raw was awesome, where they brought all the NXT divas in. The only thing I'm worried about is it's gonna go like all the other really cool people that we get from NXT. I mean, Neville, they're doing okay with him, but I'm really worried they're just gonna let them, those three really awesome, talented divas, revolve their lives around the Bellas and compete in Santa's Little Helper matches.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, like, I was excited to see them make their debuts, but and you can hear me talk about this on the latest Casual Heroes podcast. I ran the whole segment down, saying that basically, it was an opportunity for more self-aggrandizing for Stephanie McMahon, and it didn't serve any kind of a narrative. But why serve a narrative and tell a good story when you're already a public company that makes millions and millions of dollars?
I mean, the thing that sucks. Oh, I guess on the good hand, well, it was really good to see those three wrestlers stand up tall, and make their debuts. That was really cool. The only problem is the thing that let it in was Stephanie McMahon doing what Stephanie McMahon does best, get herself over. Now, well, maybe we'll forget about that whole first part if this angle's really worth it. Sure. If it's not, well, they just got roped into another McMahon power jack off. Like I got in trouble with my friends when we watched WrestleMania 31 because when The Rock showed up, I was just like, fuck him. I don't care. I'm so damn angry that the Authority are here. They're like, you can fucking leave if you want to be a buzzkill. I'm like, I'm sorry. I love The Rock. It's just I had to sit through a fucking 10-minute Authority promo on the biggest show of the year. I'm like, I get enough of this on Raw. You figure they would get their fill of that on Raw.
You'd think. All right. This is track 6. This is Dark Side of the Compass. Okay. The Dark Side of the Compass. Takes a little while for that one to get going, but when it does, it's pretty top-notch, pretty good song.
I can't wait for the sequel, Dark Side of the Krampus. I think that'll be a really good one. So this song's really cool. Like I just said in our little Facebook chat, I really wish Ailstorm would have thought of this song first, because it fits them just so well. Of course, just talking about like the dark side of the compass that takes people to, you know, to get lost and adrift at sea and makes the poles go crazy and everything. It's really just like a cool concept, you know. Like the compass is a menacing evil son of a bitch.
You hear what I said?
Yeah. What?
Ministry has an album called Dark Side of the Spoon.
I think the dark side of the spoon is what happens when you the wrong person's cuddled up to you.
I was very grateful for my help when I came over to help him, and he said he wasn't hugging my mother-in-law anymore.
Okay.
This next one, we're down to our last 3 songs, and I'm ever so close to bed. This one is much like the short story, The Cave. You know, for a minute there, I could have sort of heard a smidgen of Planet Caravan by Pantera.
I can definitely see that, actually. Yeah, I could see some Planet Caravan in there. Well, can I say this is my favorite song on the album by like a mile?
Yes. You're so doomy. You and Robert Winfrey are gay marriage. Yeah, you're all doom and gloom and everything's going slow and sludgy. Telling you, man, you and Robert, gay marriage.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'd say my hand is taken by another. It's funny. My best friend Nick, I gave him a call to ask him about to help him with his plumbing. I just realized that fits with this story really well. But, you know, I was supposed to only call him for 2 minutes, and we talked for about 30, and my stepdad's like, yep, they're gay together.
So, speaking of which, I meant to follow up with you on this, but I'm hallucinating. The girl that you left on the side of the road, are you guys still together or what?
No, she's listening right now, so I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you and you guys actually like hung out. You were like stranded again or something.
No. Well, the problem is we both work like the same retail job, so hanging out's been kind of an issue. But it's got to find like that one day off that we both have and meet up. You know how it is. So it happens when two people both work at separate hardware stores. It's like Romeo and Juliet with wood.
Are you ever going to confirm with her? Does she know that? Does she know that? Okay, I have no idea why I'm starting to think of episodes from New Girl.
What?
And so, I started to superimpose you and this girl into a New Girl episode.
Sweet Jesus. You're having Sean Comer episodes. I love Sean.
The other thing I'm doing tonight is I keep refreshing the NXT page to see if they've released tickets for the next taping at Full Sail University. I'm making it my
did you hear about the big news today?
Jushin Thunder Live.
Oh, yes. Oh, I was like, what? What? Does that mean maybe, just maybe, we're going to get other New Japan people here?
Calm down, Beavis. Okay. I was asking about you and your girlfriend. Okay. So, did I ask you if after you left her like on the side of the road or ditched her or whatever, like you haven't done that again since? She's been okay. You guys have actually like out and you've made it to the date?
Yeah, well, like I said, still we haven't quite made it to the date yet. And unfortunately, our one date we had planned got scuttlebutted by the fact that, well, her Home Depot did not want to approve that weekend off. Assholes. So,
okay.
Back to the drawing board. She's got a 3-day weekend, and I have a 3-day weekend. We'll see what we can find somewhere. But no, I have not left her hanging out to dry. So I kind of figured out that, communication's good.
It helps. Okay. We're down to the wire.
Plus, she likes watching Japanese wrestling with me. That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go. But yeah, this song, best song. Love this song. I could listen to it like another 5 times tonight. It's so doomy and gloomy, and it has such great atmosphere, and like I like the lyrical content of it. Reading through it, yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a final prayer of sorts. But it's a really good song. I love it. I dig it, and it is a very nice contrast to the next song.
Okay. This next one, second to last, is the title track. This is Luminiferous. right, let me say a couple of things while I'm somewhat conscious. One of our listeners, superfan Jesse Starcher, just made me aware that it sounds like I'm sleep podcasting.
Well, when I was like, all right, here's the next song, and about a 5-6 second delay of, oh, that's my cue. I was like, oh, Mark is tired.
I'm just imagining what the experience of listening to this has got to be like for other people. And it's just like, I want people to hear this and be like, I know, like, if you do drugs and then you record it, it's going to sound weird. Like, you should hear these two guys' podcasts. One of them is sleep deprived. He's not on drugs. He's completely sleep deprived. And it's better than if he had been on drugs. Because he's intelligible for a few minutes and then he completely zones out and we don't know where in the universe Carmen Sandiego really is.
Yeah. Don't worry, I've had a few podcasts like that where I started amped up and I was going good and I was great. And actually, I think it was the E3 podcast I did, and I was asleep within an hour. I don't think they missed me because there were like 4 other people. But by the end of it, I kept like snapping awake at random times, throwing in a comment, and just kind of drifting off to sleep.
And I apologize to people listening to this. It's like I really wanted like a serious review of High on Fire. It's not my fault. It's the UFC's.
Oh yeah, I mean, they ran an article talking about, or not they, but the press ran an article talking about how Frank Mir had really got into boxing and how he was really doing a good job, and how he had to go up to like a world champion female boxer and learn from her. And I was like, that does take balls. So when he won, I was like, that's cool, even though I didn't watch the event and I didn't plan on watching the event, and that's fine. But, I feel like even though you're half awake, it's kind of a typical Metal Hammer of Doom experience. Just less poop jokes.
Okay. This is, once again, the amazing thing is this is completely drug-free.
That's the best part. Maybe if you were on drugs, you'd be more hyper. But as for this song is a really, really, really good combination with The Cave. Like, The Cave is, like, very doomy and kind of it's stonery in a way. And this song here, Luminiferous, is Christ on a cracker. Luminiferous is, like, just, it is the Motorhead part of evil Motorhead. It's like they've got the attitude and the speed and just the grit. And it's a really, really good song, and it's just a great contrast. It really stood out to me.
Agreed. Okay. This is the last track on here. This is the Lethal Chamber. Okay. I think that was a fairly typical High on Fire song. Very long. It was about almost 9 minutes. So they go out in one of these epic long stoner metal songs. No, it wasn't bad. I know it's one that you really liked. Take Me Home, Robert Cooper. Sum it all up for me. Because God knows if I try, I'll start drifting off into the life and times of Scrooge McDuck.
Oh, God. I'm so happy we didn't have to review that damn album. Because I never was much...
The comic book store that I go to actually got me a copy of the book.
Really?
Yes. Like, completely on a lark, too. So, if you're ever in Tampa, in the Tampa Bay area, Clark's Comics in Sefner. He's a really, really good guy. He's a really cool shop. And if you ask him for stuff, good chance he's actually got it and will give you a good price on it. Like, he had a box of, like, Disney stuff, and I showed him the cover of the book, and I'm like, hey, do you have this? And he was like, I think I do. Make me an offer. I was like, yeah, and I kind of split the difference between what it goes up for on eBay and Amazon and, what he was willing to sell it to me for. And so, I got it for a decent price. Clark's Comics in Sefner.
Cool. I will never find my way down there, but if I do, I'll keep them in mind.
Okay.
That's really cool. Yeah, that is really cool. I like the song. I thought the instrumentation was really nice. Granted, it was an 8-minute long stoner metal song, so it did manage to meander a little bit. But overall, I think it was a kind of a nice way to wind down the album for the outro, for the ending. Because I thought The Cave and no. I kept wanting to say Luminescence. I'm like, no. No. I kept trying to say Luminescence over and over. Luminiferous. Christ almighty. There we go. I thought that was a really good 1-2 punch. It really made the album for me. It was just really good. Overall, this album, I give this a solid. I give this about 4 out of 5, maybe even 4.5 out of 5, depending on how in the mood I am. It's still a really good album. I totally recommend at least giving this a listen. Like, buy it if you can, but listen to it if you must. Like, seriously, it's a really good album. There's a lot of good stuff to be listened to here. There's a lot of variation. I know people don't really expect that from a lot of stoner metal bands, but they do a really good job of giving us some doom, giving us some sludge, but also giving us a few punk hits to kind of cut. Unless you're Mark Radulich, and then it's trying to keep you awake. Really good album. Oh, don't worry, you're good. See, the funny thing was, is if you did fall asleep during that last song, it was 8.5 minutes, so you'd have plenty of time to wake up.
I could have gotten myself a nice nap.
Yeah, right. Metal cat nap. Yeah, it's like it's a good album. What'd you think?
Like I said, overall, I listened to it a couple of times while I was driving back and forth to work, and I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to what High on Fire does next. And if they end up having to back up any of the bands I'm going to see live, and then there aren't that many, but on the occasion I get to go see a concert, if they were opening up, I'd have a good time listening to them. I have no objections here. Next week, now the schedule is all fucked up basically. Between having to reschedule things and having the summer schedule sort of dictated by what movies were coming out and trying to do thematic weeks and stuff, our schedule just got completely screwed. Let me tell you a couple of things that are already in the archive. What we've got coming up this week, what we've got coming up next on this show. Yesterday was the second part of our 4-part Orange is the New Black Season 3 review. Sean Comer had his friend come on because last night I wasn't so much tired as I was nearly food poisoned, and I figured if I had to quickly jump off the podcast to go vomit, at least I had another person covering for me. It's been a hell of a week, folks. Needless to say, I did not vomit, but we still had a very good discussion, and we'll do that again next Tuesday. That's normally when we're supposed to do it, but this past Tuesday I had a family, not an emergency, but a family issue that I had to attend to. and that ended up having to make me postpone the podcast till the next day. This Friday, tomorrow, I'll be going to see Ant-Man, but tomorrow night we're going to preempt Everyone Loves a Bad Guy, because I am the Lord and Master of the Radulich and Broadcasting, and I can afford to do this. I have the power. We're going to preempt Everyone Loves a Bad Guy, and Robert Winfrey and I are going to review Minions, because I want to have an argument on how that movie is a metaphor for needing religion.
For what?
Religion.
Yeah. So you mean if you have a bunch of people screaming, it'll keep the plebeians entertained?
So I'm going to get into a vicious argument about that with Robert Winfrey. That's my plan. Sunday is Battleground. You can hear terrible predictions for that on thecasualheroes.com whenever that show goes up. This coming Tuesday, part 3 of Orange is the New Black. This coming Wednesday, our review of Ant-Man. This coming Thursday, the Metal Hammer of Doom is back-to-back episodes this month because our schedule with Long Road to Ruin got way screwed up. So we'll be looking at the new Cradle of Filth, one of my favorite bands. As far as black metal, theatrical European black metal goes, I really enjoy Cradle of Filth. Seen them live a few times. They're a great band. Looking forward to see what they come up with on this newest album. Lord knows they've been around forever. So that's that. Now the 30th. I'm not going to be around. I'm going to NXT. I'm going to an NXT Live here in Tampa. Okay. So I'm going to see NXT Live in Tampa. Now, Robert, what are you and Jesse planning? What is your plan here? What's going on in the world?
Well, knock on wood. Let me find some wood. Okay, it's close enough. Okay, knock on the wood. I'm not working. I'm going to talk to Jesse, get a time scheduled. But we're hopefully going to be reviewing an album that I told him, hey, Jesse, you should listen to this. Next time Mark's not around, we'll review it. It's Woods 5, Gray Skies and Electric Light by Woods of Ypres. That's one of those albums, like, I could go on that album alone for a very long time. It's one of those, those like really important albums for you. Like it's up there. It came out in 2012, and funny enough, when I listened to it, I was like, okay, that's a good album. And then when I bought it, I listened to it over and over again, and then kind of fell on some hard times and listened to it even more. And then I got even more attached to it. So it just, it's a real piece of me there. And Jesse listened to it, and me and him kind of talked a little bit about, what do you think the song's about? And he kind of shot it back and forth a little bit. And I really just cannot wait to review that album with him. It's going to be a really good time. I hope you actually are excited to hear what I can actually sound like when I actually know what I'm doing.
Okay.
So, trust me,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, trust me, I'm not on 40 podcasts. I've not been on 40 podcasts in my life just because I'm funny looking.
Okay. That brings me to the 31st. I'll be going to see Mission Impossible. And on the 5th of August, we'll be reviewing Mission Impossible 5. And then that brings us to the 6th of August, where we'll be reviewing the new Lamb of God finally. I'm looking forward to that. The Long Road to Ruin returns the following week. On the 12th, we'll be reviewing the new Fantastic Four. And on the 13th, we'll be concluding the new Jack Ryan movies with Sum of All Fears and Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit. I don't know anybody
who's excited. Sorry. I was going to say I don't know anybody who's excited for Fantastic Four.
No, we're looking forward to it being the worst movie of the summer. Okay, on the 20th. So here are the new ones we'll be doing. That I just I just put this calendar together today. August 20th, the new Fear Factory. September 3rd, the new Five Finger Death Punch. And let's see, after Five Finger Death Punch, hang on. Okay, so in August, some of the bands that are coming out here. Okay, so September 4th, the new Iron Maiden comes out. So we'll do that one on the 17th. The new Slayer comes out on September 11th. Again.
I'm getting some deja vu here.
We will cover that one on October 1st, and then on October 15th we will review the new Children of Bodom.
Okay.
So now, when do we? When are we doing the best of Limp Bizkit?
That'll probably be that last podcast. Well, I don't know if we should do our little anniversary early and do it in October, or do it late and do it in November. We'll figure it out. It's going to be one of those, because wasn't our first podcast like November 2nd or some shit like that, like real early November. I think it was. That's close enough. I know that's when we always celebrate it with a shitty album, like Saint Anger. I remember I had a friend of mine why the fuck are you listening to that album? And I'm like, for a podcast. He goes, okay, I'll accept that. Yeah, so one of those weeks, we'll get it figured out. We'll schedule something else around, I'm sure.
I'm back.
Oh, did you fall asleep? You fall asleep?
No, Blog Talk Radio kicked me off. Or Skype kicked me off.
I didn't even know. I didn't notice. I just kept talking. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to talk while you unawares accidentally get logged off.
Okay, Jesse just threw one out there. There's a new Clutch. There's a new Clutch coming out. Let me see when the new Clutch comes out. Clutch new album. No, not Earthwalker. Let's see here. Okay, Psychic Warfare. When does that come out? Psychic Warfare.
Sorry, Earthwalker.
The new Clutch comes out. That comes out October 2nd. So we'll do that after Children of Bodom. That'll be the other one that we do in October. What I was starting to ask is, when did we say that we were we have a specific time when we pick a terrible album to review? When does that happen?
Well, as I was saying when you disappeared, I was like, well, we usually do. I know that's usually November, first week in November. So I was like, we could do that early or last week in October, or first show of November, and we could probably do first show in November. That'll work. So that'll be our shitty album blowout, because I know usually after that we kind of hit a weird spots, because we always run into shit like Thanksgiving and stuff. So we'll just have to see.
Okay, so Children of Bodom, Clutch, and then the best of Limp Bizkit. Oh boy, it's a bittersweet symphony.
I'm gonna have to bring out my my little pen here and comb through all the lyrics to this best of Limp Bizkit and give you my literary analysis for every single song.
I hope so.
I'll even do it in a more Shakespearean style, just to make it sound even dumber.
Okay. So that's what we got going on there, and I'll release the new Long Road to Ruin schedule once we get a little bit closer to the second half of our Jack Ryan series. I know that we still have to do Darkman, we still have to do Highlander, Smokey and the Bandit. I know we had Jaws scheduled for October for our Halloween shows, which I'll actually be around for, I think, this year. Though on Halloween I'll be at my cousin's wedding. Ray. She's getting married on Halloween, Rob. Can you believe that?
A wedding on Halloween?
Yeah.
I hope for the night before you play the band Hallows Eve on a loop.
I'm thinking of dressing up Jonas as Popeye. What do you think?
I guess make sure you make a little, make sure you have one of his arms bigger than the other.
I'm definitely going to draw an anchor on his arm. But, like, you know,
there you go.
Everyone noticed that, like, Jonas walks like a tough guy. You know, he puffs out his chest, he sticks out his butt, and he walks around like he fucking owns the place.
You know, I see that kid owning some mosh pits later in his day. He's gonna have to put some bitches in a pit. So he can sing about it.
I don't, you know, he's gonna be owning some bitches somewhere, whether it's on a football field or in a wrestling ring or, you know, on a jiu-jitsu mat or in an MMA cage or in a mosh pit, or maybe all of them. He could be a jack of all trades.
Or maybe the Quiz Bowl team.
When you're 15 months old and you walk around, you know, and you're walking around with your fucking chest out, you know, and your shoulders all pumped up, you know, ready to just fight people, and you're one.
I think you need to hire Jamie Joss. You need to hire Jamie Josta to follow you two around like one afternoon. Time to murder it.
We have our own theme music from "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker."
Yeah.
All right. Plugs, go, so I can go to sleep.
Well, let's see. Well, there's this podcast. We already know about this podcast. Sentai Rider Podcast. We're going to do something sometime before the end of this damn summer, I swear. I'm catching up on all my shows now. I'm watching like an episode a day of everything, even though that's 3 shows a day. So, God, I'm going to kill myself by the end of it. But hopefully we'll have something done by the end of the summer. Find us Facebook, facebook.com/Sentai Rider Podcast. That is SENTAIRIDER podcast. As for other podcasts I'm on, there is the Cooperative Multiplayer Podcast on Spreaker.com. You can find it on Spreaker.com I think the Wrestling to the Max page. Yeah, I was on there this week, which is odd because I never seem to make it on there anymore. But it was myself, Daniel Anderson, Mark Morrison, and Sean Garmer talking about, the death of the Nintendo chairman, Mr. Iwata. That sucked. It made me sad. We talked about that. I gave my review for Final Fantasy 13 since it's been about a few weeks since I beat it, and, a few weeks since I was on. That was good, and really it was just more shenanigans and me dissecting why, what was it? I think it was dissecting why DC is doing things backwards when it came to creating their own cinematic universe in the vein of Marvel. I went on like a 10-minute spiel about that.
I don't know. I saw the trailers for both Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad. I'm looking forward to both movies. At this point, I don't have the energy to fight about like their cinematic universe. It'll be what it'll be, but the movies at least look good.
Yeah, I mean it's good. It's just they're trying to do what Marvel did without building what Marvel did. It's like, I want to run $1 billion company, so you kind of like cut to steps 5 and 6.
Well, phase 1, collect underpants. Phase 3, profit.
Take off pants, ? Profit.
All right, anything else?
That's it.
All righty. So, like I said, we'll be back in 1 week to do the new Cradle of Filth. That'll be fun. I'm going to try to... Now, next week, I don't work before this podcast, so I should be okay. I should not be sleep podcasting this time. I swears it. But if you like me sleep podcasting, if you enjoy me being half awake when I do these things and somewhat delirious, and just start babbling incessantly, by all means, look me up on Twitter. I'm at Mark Radulich, MarkRadulich. and tell me that you enjoy my sleep-deprived ramblings, or that you hate them, and that you think my podcasts suck when I don't get enough sleep. I don't know. Whatever, man. It's all so hard. So tired. All right. In all seriousness, thank you for listening tonight. It was a fun show. Thank you, Robert Cooper. As always, you bring in the noise and bring in the fun. And Jesse Starcher, wherever you are, you're the bomb diggity. Though I don't know if you ever actually got around to doing Terminator versus RoboCop, and if you didn't, I'm mad at you. So that being said, here it is. Be well, be safe, and behave.